Hey everybody, I'm starting ahead of you. Not really, I'm just kidding. We're going to start lying down. Here I am already lying down. And just make yourself comfortable. You can have your knees bent like mine or straight out. And open your arms so that your hands are palm up. Naturally resting, your fingers can relax, but widen your arms away from your hips far enough that you feel your shoulders relax back. So more of your shoulder blades, more of your outer shoulder, back of the arm is really heavy on the floor. Close your eyes. Relax in the center of your palms, root of your thumbs, the wrist, forearm, elbows, biceps, right up into the shoulders, and where the shoulders join the neck and the trapezius muscles there. And then we're going to count 3 breaths. And there's 1. Try to make it a little bit slower and longer than normal. Just let your breath be normal now and start to just do kind of like a lazy head roll so that your head is rotating over toward one shoulder, trying to keep both shoulders relaxed back. And then roll your head, kind of lazy side roll over to the other side. Eyes are closed. It's like this really slow, like speed of molasses in winter. Over to the other shoulder and keeping both shoulders resting back. You might notice that going one direction is a little tighter or more restricted than the other. It's just good to note. Feel free to go back and forth one more time if that feels good. And just to lay down and enjoy doing nothing. At some point, your head is going to come back to a neutral position, just keeping your eyes closed still. You're going to bring your hands together in front of your chest. You're going to interlace your fingers fairly close to the webs, tied up into the webs of the fingers, and then turn your palms up toward the ceiling and go in the direction of straightening your arms. Draw the back of your waist down, back of your ribs down. Push your palms up toward the sky, right up above your heart area. Kind of press the fingertips into the back of your back of your palms to help spread your palms open. You could keep your arms there, or maybe start to slide that arm position toward an overhead, which would be toward the floor above you. Just try to let your waist lift off the mat. You may not have room to do this, just depends on your space and your shoulder flexibility, but just explore maybe if you want a little range of movement there. And then bend your elbows, put your interlaced fingers underneath the back of your skull. So kind of cradle your skull, let your thumbs rest kind of down the sides of your neck. Keep your eyes closed and your head facing nose towards sky. Don't let your head roll now, and just take your eyes over to the right, just your eyeballs in the sockets. Don't tip your head. We're going to stay here for about 30 seconds, trying to keep the eyes kind of pinned to the right. You're not looking at anything in particular because your eyes are closed. You're not trying to give yourself a headache. You're just keeping the eyes to the right and tuning into some of those subtle cues of turning the parasympathetic nervous system, that's the resting side, on. These could be things like deep exhales, sighs, full breaths, and spontaneous. Just keep the eyes to the right. Try not to let them wander. And then let your eyes drift back to the center. And then we're going to do the same thing over to the left. So your eyes, not your head, to the left. Now when you're not looking at something, it's hard to notice when your eyes have drifted back to the center. But you're just trying to keep your eyes tipped over in one direction for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. And you're just waiting. So this is working on the down regulation of the nervous system, which is slow. It takes time. And so you're just watching, you're just being in that state of witnessing your body, your energy, noticing if some kind of change happens that's a little more subtle, like something just kind of lets go or opens, or there's more saliva. I notice I just had to swallow. And then let your eyes come to center. With your eyes still closed, you're going to pick your head up. Think of this less like you're doing a crunch and more like you're just stretching the back of your neck. You can even think of pulling your head away from your shoulders as you tip it off the ground. And then you're going to return your head to the earth. Just free your hands. Again, they're going to go palm up by your sides, relaxing your fingers and palms completely. And then opening the arms wide enough that you really feel your shoulders just kind of flatten back on the mat. And then you're going to begin to do some tilting and tucking in your pelvis. So just rocking fore and aft a couple of times. You can keep your knees parallel now. Bent would be best with feet flat on the floor. And the next time you tuck, pick your knees up and hold your knees with your hands. Let's start with the knees somewhat close together. You're welcome to rock a little bit or to move the knees around. If it feels better to hold still, that's okay too. And then you're going to open your knees slightly wider. You're going to bring your arms to the inside of your knees, and then you're going to grab your ankles. And you can hold your feet too, just whatever's easy to grab. You're going to start by opening your knees apart and letting your feet fall either toward the floor or away from each other and toward the floor. So they don't need to stay touching. I'm doing it. If you're confused, you can always take a peek. So your knees are splaying open, but you're holding your ankles at your feet, and your feet are going away from your belly. It's kind of like Supta Baddha Konasana, or upward facing bound ankle pose, lying down version of bound ankle pose. Okay, slide your hands to your outer legs, kind of support your knees, drop your toes to the mat. And now bring your feet closer together. So the knees are still splaying wide, but you set your feet down. Now, if you've got, like, I've got a little impingement in my hip, it's uncomfortable for me to just let my knees flop open. So I'm going to slide my wrists, sort of soft fists, underneath my outer thigh, up near my hip. I'm doing that as well, just to give a little support to my thigh bone because that's more comfortable for me. Try to make this relaxing for you where you can just rest here. You just let the knees open, the belly soften, the breath be easy and natural. Take a brief scan, and if you find anywhere that's kind of gripping or tension is being held unnecessarily, just see if you can let go. And then you're just going to slide your feet out away from your hips, straighten your legs. If you had your hands underneath like I did, just move them. Again, opening them until your shoulders are resting back. So this is Shavasana, just lying down, being still. Now we're going to take the eyes and we're going to look up with the eyes closed toward the space between the eyebrows or the center of the forehead. So you're not trying to be cross-eyed, you're just trying to look up toward your own forehead, and you're just going to try to keep your eyes there. The same spot, up toward the forehead, for a few breaths. Let your eyes relax. Let your breath go. Start to roll your wrists and your arms. It's reawakening any way you want. And then you're going to turn onto your right side. When you get onto your right side, just make a pillow with your right arm and draw your knees up, something like the fetal position. Turn your belly almost a little bit more toward the floor and really just like let your belly kind of dump out. Right, and we're so often told to just tone your middle, or we're self-conscious, or we're wearing tight pants and we're pulling in. So let your belly be natural. Let it flop down toward the floor. Let it hang out. Let it relax. Your whole right side, try to get on the floor more and more. The right side of your ribs, the right side of your belly, right side of your chest, whole right side resting. When you breathe, let your belly expand out and down. And then that right arm that's under your head, we're going to end up tucking it underneath us. So you're going to start to straighten your legs out. You're going face down now. And as you do that, you're going to drag that right arm across. So it's kind of on a diagonal in front of you. And then you're going to move you're going to imagine, it's actually not really going to move much, that you're moving or pulling your right shoulder closer to the right edge of your mat, like it's getting farther away from your right hand, even though your right arm didn't slide anywhere. And then as you turn your chest down toward the ground, you should start to feel your outer right shoulder stretching. So if you want, you can take your other arm and make a pillow with your hand or your fist. Maybe you put it under your chin. So just keep kind of turning your head and your chest toward the floor now. Kind of pin the right elbow and imagine that you could drag your right shoulder over to the right. And then you're kind of pressing your weight into the floor or releasing your weight of your chest into the floor so that it squeezes that right shoulder. And you're just being patient. So we're starting to work into some of the joint here and using kind of compression. The weight of the body's making that compression to get into the connective tissue around the joint. So just wait here in this yin pose. Try to be calm. Try to be restful in your mind. You start to lift up, slide that right arm out, and turn onto your left side, kind of coming into something like the fetal position. Use your left arm kind of under your head a little bit. Your head can be forward of the line of your spine. You can really let your back round. The knees can kind of pull up to wherever's comfortable. And then remember that your middle, you're kind of turning it a little bit more down toward the floor. And I want you to make contact with the floor with as much of your left side as you can. In particular, around your belly and your waist. So just let it hang out. Let it flop out there. Whatever amount you can, just kind of let the belly rest. You might even think about letting your back rest. So like your back, as your back lets go, it's going to release your waist and your belly toward the floor even more. It's not that we don't want to have a strong core. I mean, obviously, this is what helps hold us upright and protect the back in all sorts of different movements. It helps hold the spine and good alignment and things like that. But I think a lot of times when we're pretty stressed, we tense in our middle more than we realize. It's like affecting the organs, really, like it's tightening down on everything. And I don't know if that's muscular or if we're doing that in the connective tissue, but I don't think it really matters. I just recognize that holding bodily tension is one way that we kind of cope with life, and it can contribute to our stress levels. So right now, I'm just asking you, stop holding on. Stop trying to control anything. Stop fighting. Just let go. Don't try to let go. Just let go. It seems so easy, but it's so not. It's a mental program, that's all. going to turn to get into that shoulder stretch. So you got to straighten your legs out. And your arm is going to come up on a kind of diagonal, so it's not straight out across your shoulder. Oh my gosh, this shoulder is so much tighter for me. So you keep your kind of forearm pinned to the ground, but you're turning your chest down toward the earth. It's almost like you're trying to drag your left shoulder over to the left side of your mat. And you might end up kind of face down with something under your forehead, like your hand or a pillow. And this kind of yin practice, you just wait for your body. It takes some time. And in the position, you're just kind of putting some compression on the left shoulder in this case. And that squeeze, and kind of the way it was described to me that made sense was, it's almost like you're standing, if you were standing in damp sand, and then you moved out of that deepening footprint, and when you got out of the footprint, it filled in with water. So if you've been to the beach near where the waves are hitting the shore, this might be a familiar image to you. And so this is similar to what's happening in the joint that we're, in quotes, standing on it right now. And when we stop standing on it, i.e. when we move the arm, it's going to flush with fluid. Just get heavier. Check in if you've got other bodily tension that's happening that you're conditioned to hold and you don't need to do that anymore. Let it go. Take a few more breaths. You can start by lifting your head to get out and just get that left arm out from underneath you. If you had a pillow, you can move that to the side. Come onto your elbows in a sphinx position. Tuck your chin slightly, kind of like you're going to hold like if you had a ball, like a softball underneath there. I say softball for the size more than the density. So just tuck your chin a little, but lean your head back. So bend in your whole spine. In other words, don't just lift your chin up. Keep the chin like you're holding that imaginary ball, but then see if you can tip your head back. So you're bending in your thoracic spine, not just your neck. See if you can just do this without hardening your belly. I know that's opposite of normal instruction here. Can you breathe into your belly? What does that do? Does that give you pain, less pain, more pain? What does it do to your neck? To how you feel? To how hard you're working? Okay, then push yourself up and come into child's pose. Just rest your arms, relax your arms. Relax your shoulders. And then you're going to sit up and grab a little cushion or a blanket, something to sit on, and we're going to do a short meditation together. So what I notice is that this body tension is related to a mental state. So get your body comfortable so that you can close your eyes and sit upright without too much stress. And I want you to just practice watching your thoughts. So if this is new to you it might be like you're standing on the side of a freeway and the thoughts are just like zoom, 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 zoom. If it's not, there might be fewer cars. And really what you're doing is you're trying to look for the space between thoughts. You might think of it like you're looking at a little mouse hole. And the words like a mouse that would scamper out, and you're just kind of staring at the hole, staring at that empty space. And if a thought comes, if a word comes, if a song lyric comes, if a to-do list comes, just let it go by. Let it pass like a car, like a little mouse. And just keep watching the empty space. Try to get under the thoughts, behind the thoughts, to that field of quiet. From which the thoughts come and go. Now, just shift your attention ever so slightly to watch the one who is watching. Who is the one who is able to see these thoughts? Who is the one who's having thoughts? You can see your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You're just the witness, just observing, watching. The more that we are wrapped up in the thinking mind and identifying with that part of ourselves, the more I find we have these physical reactions of tension. Because we're not in center, we're protecting ourselves, we're reacting, we're controlling, trying to control. Playing out scenarios, worrying. So who's the one who can see? Who is the one that was there when you were a child, the part of you that was there when you were a child that's still here, hasn't changed? So we'll finish our practice now by taking the left arm across the front of the chest and taking the hand, the back of the hand over to the right leg. So it'll be palm up. And then you're going to rest your right palm on top of your left in a gentle clasp. And this is the mudra of intention, or sankalpa mudra. So just sealing in this intention to be connected with this witness, this you, your soul, your spirit that doesn't change and that can be at more peace with the world. And we'll take the clasped hands off the right leg. We're going to bring them up in front of the chest. You can keep the hands clasped as is or rotate them to prayer position. And we'll just finish our practice with one breath together, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to practice yoga. I'll see you next time.